One thing I've been getting a lot of requests for lately is people wanting more information on doing custom paint jobs for airsoft guns. We do custom jobs here at this store, so if you've got a particular paint scheme that you're looking to do, just bring us an example of what it is that you want and the gun that you want it on, and we'll give you a price for what it's going to cost to do that. But if you're looking to do this sort of thing at home, I thought today would be a good time to give you a quick step-by-step instruction on how to do camouflage paint jobs for airsoft guns. First thing you want to do before you get started on painting your gun is to go ahead and prep the gun for the initial coat of paint that you're going to be putting on it. Best bet is to clean it off, get any kind of loose dirt and debris off of it, make sure that there's no kind of oil or silicone on the gun. Best bet is go ahead and get a Scotch-Brite pad and go ahead and scuff up the whole surface of the gun. That way the initial coat of paint will adhere to it a little bit better. Once you got the gun all prepped, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and lay down your base color of paint for the particular camouflage scheme that you're working on. Today we're doing an Army ACU scheme, so the base color for this is a desert tan. What you want to do is go ahead and mask off any areas that you don't want to accidentally paint, like the sights or the orange tips. You guys know me, I like to leave the orange tips on there, just so there's no misunderstandings later on when people are out playing with the guns. Once it's all masked up, you want to go ahead and hang it up either outdoors or in a well-ventilated location. Obviously, you don't want to be breathing in more paint fumes than you have to, because that does kill brain cells, and God knows I've been reading some of your guys' comments lately, and I think some of you guys could lay off of the paint fumes if you know what I'm talking about. So go ahead and start your painting at this point. What you want to do when you're spray painting a gun is to start off of the object and end off of the object. You don't want to start in the middle of it and end in the middle of it, because when you're doing that, you're going to either get a blob at the beginning or at the end of it. So start off of it, continue all the way through to the end. You want to maintain about a 12-inch distance from the object that you're painting and keep moving consistently. You don't want to pause. Best bet is to do a lot of light coats. Don't try to knock it all out in one shot. Do a lot of light coats, and that way you won't end up with any kind of drips or problems with paint building up on it. Once you've done your base coat, the best bet is go ahead and hang the gun up and just put it away and don't touch it for 12 hours. What you don't want to do is go ahead and start masking the gun on top of tacking paint, because as you peel that masking tape up, it'll pull up the paint with it. So make sure that base coat gets a good chance to dry before you do anything else to the gun. Next step is to go ahead and start working on your masking for the particular camouflage scheme that you're working on. Today we're doing a digital camouflage scheme, which requires you to make a ton of these little digital blocks, which I gotta say is really my least favorite out of all the paint schemes to work on, because there's some other ones that are out there that are more organic, like the woodland camo that has these nice flowing shapes which you can easily cut out with masking tape. The digital schemes, you gotta cut out a ton of these little tiny blocks and make all of the cuts very precise, and it just takes a lot of time to do that. Best way I found to do it is to get a 1/4-inch piece of plexiglass and create a grid on it. That way you can just simply lay your tape out and then go ahead and trace the shape and then cut it out with an X-Acto knife. Don't push the tape down too hard, because you're going to want to be able to peel the tape up in order to put it down on the gun once you're done with it. You also want to save the extra little cutouts that you make so that you can use those for other random blocks on the paint scheme. Once you've got the gun all masked off, you're ready to go ahead and start your second coat of paint. Best bet is go ahead and take a look at your example of what you're working on and try to figure out what's the best paint you want to do in which order. In this case, with the ACU pattern, we decided to do the OD green as our second color. So go ahead, once again, hang it up outside an area where you're not going to be breathing in too many paint fumes. Start off of the object, end off of the object. Don't create any blobs, and do lots of thin coats. You don't want to try to overdo it all in one shot. And once again, let the thing dry for a good amount of time. I'd say at least 6 to 12 hours. You don't want to let it go too long. If you leave masking tape on for too long, like say over a couple of days, that tape will start getting stuck to the paint. So you want to make sure that at a maximum amount of time, you don't leave your masking on the gun for more than say 24 hours maximum. Next step, as I'm sure you've already guessed, is to go ahead and start cutting out your masking for your third color layer. Best bet is to have something that you're using as a guide for cutting out the particular shapes. In this case, we're using a piece of Army ACU uniform in order to sort of copy the general idea and color scheme. So get an idea from that as to exactly how you're going to lay out the different colors in your particular paint scheme. Once again, just go ahead and lay that all out, get it all masked off, and do your third coat of paint. The next step is to go ahead and start unmasking your gun. Now, I personally like to do it while the paint is still a little bit soft. I like it to be dry enough to the touch, but not to where the paint is completely cured. Usually with the paint being probably less than an hour old. The reason being, if you let the paint cure all the way and you start peeling that masking off, sometimes it starts tearing off the paint with it. So while the paint is still a little bit soft, it allows you to have nice sharp lines in those areas. The way I like to do it is to use the end of an X-Acto blade to peel up the corner of the masking tape, and then either just use my fingers or a pair of tweezers in order to peel the masking tape up and reveal your final product. Best bet with doing anything that we've talked about today is to take your time. That's probably the best advice I can give you on doing anything here. I know you pretty much want to rush through it and get to the final product, but if you don't take your time, you're probably not going to be too happy with what your end result is going to be. The final piece of advice I'd like to pass on is to let the gun dry for a good 24 hours before you start handling it a lot. If the paint's still too soft and you start playing with it, you're either going to leave fingerprints or you're going to rub the paint off. So let it dry for a good day before you start actually playing with the gun. If all this seems like a little bit too much for you to handle, we do these kind of paint jobs here, so either bring us an example of what you want or stop on into the store and we'll show you some examples of what we've done in the past, and we'll get you something that's exactly what you're looking for. So until the next time, don't let the bastards get you down.